What's good, people? I feel like I haven't been here for ages. I'm so sorry. I've been having a time of my life via Instagram and TikTok. I cannot lie. So I'm brand new on TikTok. At the time of me filming, I've literally been on TikTok for about, what, 4 or 5 days. I'm having the time of my life on that app. I cannot lie. Living my best life and all of that there. And literally, when I was there, I saw that somebody had asked me a question in regards to what I'm about to talk to you guys about. And I thought, you know what? Lately, my mind has just gone blank in regards to what I want to do with my YouTube channel. This is the perfect way for me to kickstart this new journey and where I'm trying to take my content, the direction I'm trying to take it to. So my first TikTok video, I'm not even going to bother screenshotting it into here, but it was in regards to this topic and it did numbers. It's still doing numbers. It's still got people commenting and I'm just like, whoa. Like when I posted it, I didn't really think it was going to be that deep. So I thought, you know what? Where I'm at, another journey of my life right now, I'm going to do another video in regards to where I'm at right now. I feel like this is the perfect time for me to share this story because I might be able to help somebody that's currently going through this, or maybe you've gone through it before. And you know what, if you've gone through something and you come across a video and someone else has gone through it, it's kind of, you know, it's good to have somebody that you can relate to, basically. So I hope that this will somehow help somebody somewhere. So in 2019, I was on Hinge. Cool. And when I was on Hinge, I saw this really cute guy and I was like, oh my gosh, I think he's a catfish, because he was like just my type, you know, like physically wise, because obviously that's the first thing you see when you're on a dating app. You see the person's physicality, like a Ghanaian would say, physicality. You know, he's just my type, you know, tall, black, locks, handsome, cute. I thought he's got to be a catfish. Anyway, we got talking. And oh, if you hear the slapping, it's literally I'm wearing a short dress and I'm just skin out. But anyway, we got talking and conversation was flowing. We turned out we had a lot in common. We were both Ghanaian, both had locks, both were, you know, big on family, big on certain beliefs, and the conversation was flowing and he seemed to be very respectful as well. And to me, he stood out a lot because when I was on Hinge at the time, I found that a lot of guys couldn't hold conversations. Their profile was just really and there was nothing more to them. But this guy seemed the complete opposite. So eventually we came off the app and we were talking on the phone. Like we would talk for time. Like anybody that knows me well knows I hate phone conversations, but with this guy we would do like 1 hour conversations, 2 hour conversations. You know, if I had just got in from work, we would talk whilst I was cooking and little things like that, texting all the time, talking about different shows. I think at the time Love Island was really big and he was into Love Island, so we had all that banter and all that chit chat. And so now it was time for us to meet. So I think we were talking probably about a week or so. Then we decided to meet up in person. We went to a vegetarian spot and it was cool. In person, I thought, oh, he's like much better looking in person, good at conversation, a lot in common, into travel like myself. You guys know how much I love travel. And so long story cut short, a lot progressed after that date, and cut a long story cut short, eventually we got into a relationship. Now for us to have got into that space where we're now in a relationship, I had obviously felt that, yeah, I'd found somebody that, surprisingly, I found them via Hinge, because I can't lie, at the time I wasn't really expecting to find a serious person via Hinge. And I also felt like, wow, I'd found somebody that was respectful, and a lot of things that I found of importance to me, I felt like that he possessed, basically. So anyway, as time progressed, I started to notice little things. So, you know, for example, I remember that there was an incident when I think my bra was too tight, so I'd gone to Bravissimo. If you don't know what Bravissimo is, it is a store where it's basically an underwear shop. And I'd gone to go and get matched, and I went to go and get matched and they told me that I was a particular bra size. Cool. So I had bought various bras in that size and I was wearing it. So there was a difference in how my breast would look in the bra. So I had gone from, you know when you're wearing the wrong size bra, ladies, and it's like your tits are kind of like overflowing. I was now wearing the correct size bra, so my breasts were nicely tucked into the cups, basically, but you wouldn't get that kind of cleavage puffle at the top. You guys know what I'm trying to say, yeah? Stay with me. So I remember he would say things like, look at the bra that you're wearing. Like, you're wearing a bra that's much bigger than your cups. Like, just accept that you have small tits. Things like that. He would say it in a certain way, and I would be like, what the fuck do you mean by I have small tits? And he would still go on and on and on, and I would be like, that's not an appropriate comment to make. I actually don't have small tits, and even if I did have small tits, so fucking what? 2, I'm not trying to have big tits. I've gone to get measured, and this is the size that they've measured me at, and my breasts are comfortably in the cup. So why are you going on and on and on? So basically, that was already a red flag. But in that situation, you kind of think to yourself, you know what? The mindset I had at the time was, you know what? Everyone's got their flaws. Nobody's perfect. This is a one-off. Cool. You told him you don't like it. It's gonna stop. No, it continued to progress to the point where sometimes I'd be getting dressed in front of him, and he would make little comments about my body, like, oh, you're so tiny, like, oh, your breasts are like this, and oh, your bum is like that. And keep in mind, I just need to put it out there as well, he himself, he wasn't confident about his body, so he was quite on the slim side, and he always used to bring up about how skinny he is and whatnot. I wasn't too fast that he was skinny, although I'm not gonna lie, previously I have been used to dealing with quite muscular word, muscular, is that a word? Yeah, with quite muscly men. However, he was a little bit different in that sense, where he was quite slim. Didn't bother me, clearly bothered him. But I found that as time went on, he would always make comments about my body. He would make comments about my appearance. It's no secret as well, ladies, sometimes hair, you may have a little facial hair here and there, or sometimes you may get a pimple, you may have a spot. I also have acne prone skin as well, especially when I'm just about to come on, so I tend to get like maybe a bit of acne on my chest or my arms, or so I'd get a little bit of scarring, and he would go out of his way to point things out. So if I'd gone to meet up with him and maybe I had a spot, he'd be like, oh, that's a very fat spot that you've got there. Like little things like that. But the other way round, if he had a spot, I wouldn't bring it up, because naturally I don't do that. If someone's got a spot, they know they've got a spot. They don't need you to then point it out, to then kind of bring out their insecurities. It is unnecessary. So anyway, anytime I would tell him I wasn't happy with what had been said, it was a problem. It was, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, you can't take a joke. Oh, he'll storm out of the room. And it was a continuous thing, to the point where little incidents were, well, it's not really little, because looking back, all the signs were there, but I was just given the benefit of the doubt, as most women tend to do when they are in those incorrect relationships. So for example, that whole thing with T.I. saying that he gets his daughter checked to see if she's still a virgin, or whatever it was. I was explaining to this guy and my partner at the time that a woman can break her hymen or hymen. Listen, my pronunciation can be off sometime, but they can break it in a variety of ways. You can do it via, you know, exercising. Sometimes you can do it via riding a bike. It is possible for it to be broken in various ways. So I'm now educating this guy on how the woman body works. And he's turning around to say, oh, you're just repeating what's being said on Shade Borough and all of these blogs, right? Cool. One time, we were having a conversation in regards to, I think there was a debate going on if girls should be given free pads and free tampons at school. And I was like, I definitely think that girls should. Reason being, I started my period at a very young age, where I didn't even know what a period was, and I actually thought I was dying. Had I had been educated or was aware of it from a much younger age, and if, for example, pads were available to us during school, it would have been very helpful. He was very hell-bent on, no, they don't need to be putting money into women having pads or girls having pads at schools. It's something that their parents should be providing. Saying it out loud now, I do really feel silly. I do feel ashamed that I kind of didn't take myself out of that equation much earlier than I actually did. However, listen, this now happened years ago. I'm older, I'm much wiser, and since then I've vowed to myself I'm not getting into a relationship again for a very long time until I actually truly meet somebody that I do think is for me and they don't exhibit that kind of madness. I'm just going to fast forward the story because a lot actually happened, but the long and short of it is, it got to a point where, you know, he himself had a lot of insecurities. Like I've said, he wasn't happy with the way that his body was. Not only that, but sexually we were not compatible either, and there's a lot of things that I was very patient with and tried to be very understanding with and tried to be very tolerant with, but yet his character was just still very atrocious, very fucking awful. For somebody that wasn't ticking certain boxes that I really required, that's quite personal and I'm not going to get into on here, it was just very, very cheeky that he still had the guts to be as nasty as he was and to not take ownership of his nastiness, and to then flip the script and then make it seem like I was too sensitive, I was the issue. And not only that, but as time went on, you guys know I'm a very confident person. Rarely will I give a shit about what other people have to say about me, but it got to a point where I was very conscious about my body. I was very conscious about what I would wear. I'd be very conscious on what he would say if I was going to wear something, or any comments that he'd potentially make, or if I happen to have a pimple because my period was coming up, whatever. I'll be really paranoid and I'll just be waiting for, is he gonna say something? Is he gonna say something to embarrass me? And he was one of those people where when he says something, he goes on and on and on, and he's always right. Cool. Fast forward to things. It was his birthday, and at the time he wasn't in the country. Cool. And I decided, to be honest, around that time, this is where I went wrong, so I take full accountability and full ownership. At that time I had tapped out, but I'm one of those people where before I walk away from a situation, I want to know and feel like I've done everything within my power that I possibly could have before quote unquote giving up. That's how I felt at the time anyway. So I went to go and do, yes, I know, you guys can slate me all you want, I already know. I went to go and do a grand gesture. So I went and I booked us a trip to go away as a belated birthday gift, so that when he came back from when he was on holiday at the time, he was in Ghana. So when he'd come back, about a couple days later, me and him would go away for a couple nights. I arranged everything. For me, it's not a problem. Listen, if I'm with you, I've got you in it. So, you know, I'm gonna do whatever it is I want to do from the kindness of my heart. So anyway, I've arranged for us to go away. You know, nice getaway, cute little spot in Spain, fine. And what had happened was, I'm gonna cut the story very short. What had happened was, we were on the plane. Everybody knows, this may sound petty, but I'm not big, I don't do morning breath. I don't give a fuck who you are. Don't talk to me, don't kiss me with morning breath, no. So now, I think he's fell asleep on the plane. He's now woken up and he's tried to give me a kiss, and the morning breath was just, it was kicking. So I've just jokingly said like, nah babe, like nah, I'm not gonna kiss you, like I'll kiss you later type of thing. This guy held on to me not wanting to kiss him throughout the whole trip. We got off the plane, he wasn't talking to me. I was continuously asking like, yo, what's wrong, what's wrong? Because I didn't realize at the time that that was the issue. Okay, I've even skipped a couple bits because a lot had happened. I'm not trying to have a whole hour YouTube video out here. So yeah, he was giving me the silent treatment. We got to the hotel, he's behaving very off and all of this. Long story cut short, he was indirecting me on his WhatsApp status. Yes, you guys heard me correctly. He was indirecting me on his WhatsApp status, talking about me in a very, very negative, horrible way, and he continuously was doing it on the trip. Even though I had asked him what was wrong, I'd made it aware, I'd seen what he had written, I'd asked for us to talk about it. This guy was basically behaving like a child on the trip that I had booked for us. The trip was horrible. It was an absolutely awful, horrendous experience. It's probably been the worst experience that I've ever had in my life to date. It was that bad. And no, it was not the first time that we had a disagreement or falling out where he had just been quick to just write something nasty on his WhatsApp status, but wasn't adult enough to have an adult conversation with me. On the trip, we then ended up talking at some point in regards to the whole thing, and I remember eventually when he started to tell me what was wrong, the way that he spoke to me, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I felt like I had an outer body experience. So it was like I was sat there and I could see him talking, but I wasn't listening to the words because he was just talking at me, and he was just doing all of this and raising his voice, and it was like an abusive father telling off their daughter. That's how I felt in that conversation. So it's like I had completely tapped out. So in my head I thought to myself, Winnie, there is no fucking way you're coming back to London and you're still going to be in a relationship with this guy. It is an absolute myth. What the fuck are you doing? Like, all the red flags have been there. You've been ignoring them, or I say ignoring them, but on every occasion I would voice out what my issue was, but every time I would voice it, he would somehow flip the script and it was somehow my fault, and I was too sensitive and I can't take a joke and this and that. I'd allowed certain things to slide. That there was one important aspect that, listen, if you know, you know, in it, there's an important aspect to me that I need, and he was lacking in that department. So it's like, you're rude, you're misogynistic, you gaslight me all the time, you neg me all the time, you're verbally abusive. Like, there's a lot of red flags, and then on top of that, you have the nerve to be talking to me like I'm your child, like you're my dad, when I've arranged for us to be on this beautiful destination so that we can celebrate your birthday. Like, what the actual fuck? So anyway, long story cut short, we had this chit chat. I decided, you know what, I would try and make the most of the rest of the trip that I could. I think we were only there for 3 or 4 nights, I cannot remember. So, you know, he would try to do little things. Like, I remember I went to go and do a spa session, and he was insisting that he would pay for that and all of that, and I had a great spa session. That was probably the only real thing that I enjoyed on that trip. So anyway, it's now time for us to return back to London, and so we get ready to leave the place. We're both getting ready in silence. We've both packed our things in silence. We're now sitting in the hotel reception waiting for the taxi driver to come and get us so that we can go straight to the airport. Nobody's talking. Like, we're literally sat in silence in a taxi journey throughout. I think maybe he might have asked me if I was okay maybe once. So we're waiting around in the airport, and literally again, like, we're walking around, we're sat next to each other, whatever it may be, nobody's really talking. And then this is the one time I could say big up Ryanair. The one time, because honestly, you guys can see me on camera, I'm never flying with Ryanair again in this lifetime unless someone accidentally books me a ticket. But me myself, I'm not paying for a flight with my money to fly Ryanair ever again. So anyway, we're now heading towards our plane, and Ryanair, we weren't sat next to each other. So I was kind of sat towards the front of the plane and he was sat towards the back of the plane. Cool. So as we're walking towards the plane, he goes to me, oh, see you in London. Because obviously, maybe I may have said it, maybe I didn't, but when he came to pick me up originally, we drove via his car to the airport. So obviously the whole plan was get back to London, he's gonna drop me back home. Cool. So I sit down in my seat and I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is a new fucking chapter. So I sent him a message and I said, when we get to London, don't wait for me because my friend's gonna come and pick me up. He messaged back and said, what the fuck? What do you mean your friend's gonna pick you up? Are you breaking up with me? And I said, yep, I am. And then I blocked him from WhatsApp. And then I decided to send a message via text. And I basically said in the message why I was breaking up with him. I told him that I couldn't deal with his attitude no more. It's absolutely awful. I hope that he seeks the help that he needs before he gets with somebody else. And I wish him all the best, but me and him are done. And I immediately blocked him. And that was that. So land in London now. I get my stuff. I actually saw him, but he's short-sighted, so I'm not quite sure if he saw me. And obviously I could see, you know, calls are coming through from private number. Obviously he's trying to get through. Cool. That was that. My boy came to pick me up, Neptali, big up Neptali, and we had a good conversation in regards to that. And he was just like, Winnie, why? You knew you was done. Why did you make the grand gesture of like booking a trip and all of that? And he was very right. Very, very right. Had a good conversation, kept it moving. As far as I was concerned, that's it done. Funny thing is, I thought, that's it done, we move. So what did I do? I went and I jumped back on Hinge. Lo and behold, that the same evening that I jumped back on Hinge, he was on Hinge. And basically what he had done was, he had taken pictures, like selfies, on our quote-unquote trip, and uploaded those selfies, obviously of himself, onto his Hinge profile. And he was basically indirecting me on the Hinge profile. Cool. It is what it is. So fast forward to about 3 months later, I now start receiving messages via Instagram from him, like how, oh, I can't ignore him forever, what's up with my number, he's tried to call and he can't get hold of me and all of that. Because basically what I had done was, when I ended it with him and I blocked him, I immediately got my number changed. Immediately, I didn't waste any time. I was like, fuck this, I'm changing my number. So sending all of this message, you need to talk to me with your chest. You always say that you take pride in being direct. To tell me what it is face to face, blah blah blah, all of this rubbish. So I've blocked. Then he would create another Instagram account and message me, then I'll block. So he kept on doing this to the extent where at the time I was hosting a podcast, and he decided to send a message on my podcast Instagram page. My co-host saw it, alerted me, blocked him. Then he tried to message my co-host, sent a message, saying something like, tell Winnie that her man is trying to get hold of her, or some nonsense. And then he decided to create accounts on Twitter to get hold of me on Twitter, and it was just going on and on and on. So I was just block, to the extent where people around me kind of got a little bit worried and were like, Winnie, maybe you should just have a word with him and tell him the one time that it's done. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I said what I needed to say months ago. Why it's taken him all these months to now be trying to get in contact is beyond me. But I've said what I've said. Me, I'm done. Like, that's it, finito. Don't want to converse with him again in this lifetime. It's done. Fast forward to about another month after. So now this is about 4 months after we've broken up. I'm at work, I'm on my lunch break, and I'm expecting an email from my co-host of my podcast. So I now sign into my Hotmail, and I'm seeing about, I think it was about 4 or 5 emails from him. And the emails were worrying, I can't lie. It was literally like, you can't ignore me forever, right? If you don't respond to this email, I'm coming to your house, or I'm coming to your workplace. Then there'll be like another email like, I'm coming to your house at 9 p.m, blah blah blah, I'm gonna knock on your door and we're gonna talk, and you need to talk to me face to face, da 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 da. And so I've read these emails back to back, and then the final email said something like, okay, as you wish, I can now see that you're going to so much lengths to not speak to me. I recently had a word with my friend, and I've just only realized how I truly feel. Like, I really love you. I hope that you didn't feel like these 5 months were a waste of time, yada yada. Hopefully we cross paths in future and we can rekindle things, something along the lines of that. And I just blocked the emails. I didn't feel any type of way, and that was that. Now, looking back on the experience to outsiders, like, a lot of things happened. And the first video that I spoke about on my TikTok, for those of you that are not on my TikTok, in that video I basically shared a picture that, in fact, funny enough, he took the picture on my 30th birthday of me in a red dress. And I had said, just before that picture was taken, he told me that my boobs were sagging and I was aging. And you know what, social media being social media, a lot of people were like, oh, that's really awful. Some dickhead men were like, oh, but he did lie on all of this rubbish. But that's neither here or there. The whole point of the matter is, this is somebody that I was dealing with, I was in a relationship with, somebody that I had celebrated my 30th birthday with. But even on my 30th birthday, we'd gone to Portugal. Portugal was lovely, the food was amazing. However, my time with this individual was just something else, but we're not even going to bother getting even into that anyway. But to the extent where even on my birthday, the day when as a woman I want to feel glamorous, I want to feel pampered, you still went out of your way to make a comment about my body on my birthday. And like an idiot, I was still there, and it wasn't until what, November, December, almost 3 months later, that I said enough is enough, and I locked things off. Now I share this long-winded story simply just to say, sometimes you don't realize the extent of what you're in until you're out of that situation. Not everybody is blessed enough or lucky enough to even be able to escape from a situation like that safely, especially with how I did it, where we were literally both sat on the same plane and I had ended it. He could have easily been a psycho, got up, started moving mad on the plane, or even when I got to London, things could have got really, really ugly. So I understand that basically I got lucky in regards to the fact that I can even tell the story today. However, abuse comes in different shapes and forms. Yeah, it's not always physical, and people kind of always think that abuse is only physical. And not only that, but at the time as well, my thing was, okay, he's done this, it really has upset me, I voiced that it's upset me. But at the beginning, he was such a nice guy, so clearly this isn't him. Maybe it's just like one of his flaws, and nobody's perfect, and you start making excuses for this person. Meanwhile, as time goes on, you start to deep that, yo, your confidence within yourself is just lagging. And I'm a very confident person. Like, whether I'm skinny, whether I put on weight, like, I love myself. But it got to a point where I felt some type of way about my breasts. I felt some type of way about my figure. I felt some type of way about me. And even sometimes when I would try to voice how I felt, I would think to myself, is this really an issue? Or is it just me being sensitive like he normally says? Trust me when I tell you, yeah, that experience was eye-opening. It was eye-opening, and I'd said to myself, there was many occasions when people were like, oh, you should share your story because it could help somebody. And I was like, you know what, nah. I don't want to be that person that's gonna be bashing somebody, because I guess, again, it comes down to sometimes we as women, we put other people before ourselves, even when those people have hurt us. But nah, like, I saw how that video was received on TikTok, and some of the questions that I've been asked since then, and some of the people's reactions since then, and I thought, nah, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna speak up on it, because it's shit. Like, yeah, I've been in an abusive relationship, and it was like, I didn't even deep that was the case until a very long time afterwards, when I looked back and I was like, shit, that's what it was. I simply just wanted to share this story because I just didn't realize a lot of things, and also how people have received that video that I put on TikTok. I can't explain it, but it just made me think like, raw shit. Rather than me keeping shit to myself, I could be really helping people via my content. So yeah, going forward, I'm just looking to just free the realness and talk about things that I need to be talking about. And whether one person views the video, that's cool. Whether millions of people see it, that's fine. But I want people to watch my content and take something away from it. It's very important for me. But always remember as well that if you are going through something that's real serious, I'm not a professional. Try and seek the professional help that you need, or try and confide in somebody that you really, really trust.